to fit. You can have
And
a
Ahmed,
background. Yeah.
did you do anything special when you dragged it into the panel? Because
No,
when I
just
drag mine, everything collapses.
it maybe your panel is very small.
Okay, I'll play around with it then. Thanks.
Yeah, it needs to be like large enough. So you can like change the background color of this panel. For example, your panels will be like this. I'm pretty sure I saw them before in those like clinic apps where the doctor is entering your information. So they will have multiple panels for different things. You can have an image, so you can import an image and have it as your background. Okay. So here, for example, if you want to use panels in your calculator, you can create a panel like one panel for the buttons, a panel for where you want to um, uh, show the results, panel for those, another panel for the memory buttons and stuff. Okay, so you can like have like different backgrounds for each section, different look, different feel for each one. Okay. Uh, okay, you always have like so many stuff in here. Oh, you can also have an icon for the panel, but I don't have any icons actually. If you wanted to import an icon, you can have an icon here.
What would the extension for the icon be? Like IC?
I think it's ICO.
Oh, okay.
So here, like the form. Okay, so that's for the panel. Okay, so a panel is mostly like a very simple thing. Okay, you can change. I forgot to mention that you can change the form itself. So see the form. So maybe you don't want to allow the user to make it very big. Like see, this one is responsive. When you enlarge it, okay, everything becomes large. So this needs special handling. But maybe you don't want to allow the user to like maximize the window. So click on the form itself and you will see the properties of the form. So when it comes to the properties of the form, there should be okay. Yeah. So maximize box, like you can have it as false. Maybe you don't want people to minimize for some reason. So you can just show them just the closing one. It's good to have the minimize, so to get rid of it. You can also have a help button. Not sure why it's not showing up, but anyways. Mm, yeah, you can remove the icon if you want. See this small, very small icon. You can find like tons of free icons online. Like if you went, so free icon uh, for, if you want for images, like okay, just take one of those. Most of them are free, but you need to make sure. So you can just download this. See, it's 256 by 256. It's very small. So you can have this one. Let's try. Hopefully it will take this one. So, so this is true. And oh, look at that. Okay. So we just stole our first icon from that. So always make sure that it's royalty free. So not everything you find in Google Images is free. Okay, of course. Now, if you are just using it locally, I don't think people will, most of them will like care. But if you are publishing anything, just always make sure that it's not copyrighted. You can buy it, but there are thousands of free icons everywhere. Okay. So you can change the icon here and you can change the name. So see here it says form 1. Of course, it's a very ugly name. So the text for the form, so click on the form and change the text of this form. So call it, let's call it calculator or whatever your program is.
Sorry, Mohammed.
I'm sorry, how
Sorry,
does
sorry.
the use weight cursor work? I'm sorry.
Yeah, go, Saria. Sorry, I didn't understand.
Oh, how does the use weight cursor work?
Use weight cursor. Well, I changed it by mistake, so I really don't know what is use weight cursor. Okay, when
Okay.
this property is true, the cursor property of the control and its child control is set to weight cursor. Okay. So maybe
Sorry,
it will change it to weight. I don't know.
I have a question.
Yep.
How to put the panel behind the other stuff?
How to put the panel behind other stuff?
Yeah, because I correct it's in front of them.
Well, there's something called send to the back. So when you right click, bring to front or send to back, like right click, send to back and bring to front. This is what you want.
Thank you.
Okay. Not sure why it's, oh yeah. Okay, needs to be saved. Okay, so I really don't know all the properties. Like I worked for a long time, like I got to work with them, but they keep adding new things, they keep changing. And of course, like even if you worked for something like 7 years ago, you won't remember it now. So like I know the common ones that I use all the time, but like let's see. Well, Windows state, this one is important. So it's either normal, either minimized, either maximized. There's also start position. So when you start your program, where do you want it to appear? So you can center screen, for example. So every time you start your program, it will appear in the center of the screen. Okay, so it doesn't matter where, like the size of the screen or what is the default location. You can have it manual, I guess, but now we need to find where to sit or where to put this one. There should be coordinates. Oh yeah, now it's here. Yeah. So we need to find the place where, oh yeah, I guess the location one. Yeah. So if we played with this one a bit, so the x's are 100 and this one. Yeah, see, it's moving a bit. Okay, so the thing about like I really don't remember that. I was just able to find it because you get Oh, see, that's the weight cursor, Saria. See?
Hmm? Oh, the round one?
Yeah, that's the weight like something. So when you are doing something, you can activate it and it will look like the weight cursor. This is not something you usually do, like usually Windows will do it itself, but in case you want to control that. See now it's just showing me the weight one. Okay, so once you start working with Windows Forms, you will get a feeling to how things work, and you will expect that, hey, I'm pretty sure they have a property for this or something for that. Let me look for it. And that's like one of the nice things about working with C Sharp and Visual Studio, especially, is that everything in front of you. Of course, like there are so many specialized stuff that you need to find what is the best way to do it. But um, like for many basic things, it's very easy to find out.
How often does the companies use this, like the form in the application or web?
Well, it depends on the company and what the company is doing. So, like Zoom, for example, they use this way more than web because their main application is a desktop application. Skype, for example, they use something like this. All those companies that you see, for example, uh, in doctor clinics, that's what they use. They don't use online. Uh, when you go to Superstore or Walmart, you see that they always have a system. Most of
Mhm.
them, all they used to use a language called Visual Basic 6. Many things are designed in that language. So you will find out that any place where they have a program that is desktop, they will use something similar to this. Of course,
Okay,
there are other languages,
I
but
was
this is
only
the most.
asking. Oh, sorry. Oh,
Yeah,
I
this
was
is.
only asking because this what we are learning right now is kind of basic, and I was wondering how deep I should be researching into it or study on my
No,
own.
well,
That's why
honestly, now the whole point is to not learn pure math and learn something that may be beneficial for us in the future. So, like, so far, in each group I had a student who ended up using something similar to this. So, like, it's a very low ratio. So, don't go deep. Okay,
okay.
just do just like we need to go back to MVC and databases very soon.
Uh-huh.
This is just to know that there is something like this, okay, and this is how they use it, and this is the first step on the road of this type of program, okay. But for now, like,
Okay.
don't go deep unless you are really sorry looking for a job in a company that uses something like this. Okay, because like
Got
you
it.
can go deep, like you can spend a year looking at every one of those. Okay,
Yeah,
but
that actually
that's
was the plan from A to Z. Hmm.
no. So if you have extra time, go deep on databases and on MVC and maybe learn another language that's very common. So for example, this group now, many of the students are using PHP. So it's just like Black or like it's different everyone, but PHP is extremely common. So if you want something that will have a very high potential to be used by you in the future, try to learn PHP, for example. Okay, if
Okay.
the
Thank you.
possibility
Sorry
of
if I
working,
spent a bit of time.
no, that's fine. The possibility of working with PHP is way more than working with Windows Forms. Okay, like everyone is working with web now. Okay, so another one that we want to take a look at is the checkbox. So check those are checkboxes. Okay, so checkboxes, like you see them all the time. They have a very important aspect in them or property, which is are they checked or not. So when you start this one, so oh, a second. So that's all what they do, but it's extremely important. So for example, imagine you are making a search, okay? And the users can say, hey, I want to check this and this and this and do the search for me, okay? So the thing about them, for example, so imagine that I didn't have the sub button, okay? I just have a button, okay, like this one. So here, for example, I can say, so the property is called checked, okay? This is the property that we use to know if it's checked or not. So it's either true or false. So I can say something, if this one is checked, then do the sum. Otherwise, do the, for example, of course, I'm ruining my program because it's just test stuff. So what I'm saying is if the checkbox is checked, do the sum, otherwise do the subtract. So 9 and 5. So now it's not checked. You'll see it's 4. If it's checked, you will see that it's 14. Okay. So and now with checkboxes, for example, it's very common to use for searching criterias. Okay, like find me something. For example, I just want new cars, so you can check the checkbox for new cars. Okay. Otherwise, you want new and used, so you may uncheck it. Okay. So it's extremely useful. Okay, and you will find yourself needing it in almost any Windows Form application. Okay, please like make sure to try with me and see. So the one that we need is checked. So let's call me this one operation, and for example, so let's have something like hide. Okay, so hide is supposed to, for example, hide the whole panel for me. Okay. Sorry, not sure what happened to me. Okay, so let's write the code for that. So the event the like the most that we care about is check changed. So when you change the checked status, okay, this is the event that we care the most about. There is a property for almost all those tools, for buttons, for text boxes. It's called the visible. Okay, so we have two somehow similar to each other, but each one is different. So you have the enabled. So enabled will keep the tool, okay, like the button, it will keep it for you, but you can't click on it if it's false. Okay, that's the enabled. there's also something called visible. Visible will like make the whole thing disappear. So for example, let's try to so let's see what happened then. So what did I say here? I said, okay, this is a checkbox. Okay. I want the event, like the most common event, which is called checked, check changed. Okay. So I said I want the visibility of the panel to be opposite to the visibility of this panel. What does that mean? So if it's visible, if it's shown, what is the opposite of it? It will be hidden. And if it is hidden, I want it to be the opposite to what it is now. Okay, so I want always. So, sorry.
Sorry. How is it toggling? You are saying if it's visible, turn it into non-visible, hidden, but it doesn't say hidden from to go to visible. How is it?
Well,
toggling?
visible is true or false. Like there's no hidden. There's no property called hidden. Okay, so it's only visible. So visible equals true or visible equals false. Okay, visible equals false. That's the hidden one. Okay.
If so, when you click it again, then the hidden one becomes visible again, right?
Yeah. So like first, visible is a boolean. Okay.
Okay.
Visible is either true or false. So I'm saying,
Mm.
okay, the the visibility of this one, if it's true, make it false. If it's false, make it true.
Yes.
Like choose the opposite current value for visible.
Oh, choose the opposite of that. Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Thank you. Got it.
yeah. It's there's the opposite here. Okay. So you can say, for example, panel one dot visible equals false, but this time it will always be false, or equals true. That means it's always shown. But what I'm saying is every time you change the checked for this checkbox, every time you change it, I want you to go to the opposite visible. Like if the visible is true, okay, what's the opposite? False. If the visible is false, go to the opposite, which is false, which is true. Okay, just choose the opposite. So to go to the like most common event, just double click on this one in the design time. So after you create it, just double click and it will create the most common event for you. Okay. So for a checkbox, the most common event is when you change what is the value in this checkbox. Okay.
Oh, sorry. I forgot something. So when you double click the checkbox, it gave you this check to change it, the name.
Yep.
Okay.
It will create the common event for you. Okay, another thing we want to take a look at is the radio button. So for radio buttons, they can do a better job in many other situations. Okay, so for example, let's suppose I am choosing the type of numbers like decimal or binary or octal or hexadecimal. Okay. Let's just change the names and okay. So radio buttons are good if you have multiple choices. Okay. It's like an if. Okay. So if you have multiple choices and you want to select one of them. Okay. That's the very good thing about them. So for example, suppose that this is your calculator. Okay. And you want to, for example, when you click on case one, you want to use decimal numbers, which is like the regular numbers that we use 1, 2, 3 to 10. So maybe you want, in case you click the second one, now you want to use binary, which is 0, 1, 0, 1. Okay, only zeros and ones. If you want, if the third one is checked, then now you are using, for example, hexadecimal numbers. Okay, which is another numerical system. Okay, so usually they follow the group where they are located. Okay, that's nice. Okay. Usually they follow the group where they are located. Can you please stop playing with the marker? Okay. So they follow the thing where they are located, and they become like a group. Okay, because maybe you need another set of radio buttons in a different place. For example, what if you want radio buttons like in another panel or another one, another place? Of course, when you select one of them, the rest will be unselected. But notice that you can select those and one of those. So those are a group, okay? And those three are another group. Okay, so they don't affect each other. Okay, so you have groups for them, and like usually each group in a panel, for example, or you can change this group programmatically. Okay, you don't like I don't think we will have so many groups, but in case you have, okay, you can do it just very easily. Okay, so the important um, property about um, a radio button is if it's selected or not. Where's this one? So you have the visible too. You can change if it's visible or not. You can change the enabled. Okay, so enabled is very important. We use it all the time. It specifies if you can click it or not. If it's disabled, then it will still showing up, but you can't do anything to it. Okay, so the one that we care about is the checked. Okay, so checked is also for radio buttons. Okay. And if a radio button is checked, then it's true. Otherwise, if there's no that small uh, black dot, then the checked will be false. Okay. So depending, you can say, okay, if the case one is checked, then do this. Otherwise, if the case two is checked, then do this. Okay. And that's how it works. Okay. Any question?
Did you say there were ways that we can make a like a multiple choice, like for case 1 and 2 or 1 and 3, like two of them can
No,
be made?
well, radio buttons, you can't have multiple choice if they are in the same group. You need to select one of them. If you want multiple choice, you can create multiple checkboxes.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so you will notice that in surveys. So when you have, when, for example, they say select your race. So some people, they are multiple races. So they will make them checkboxes. Okay, like select whatever applies. But for example, if it's about something that you can only have one thing, okay, like select your education level, okay. So you are either like finished masters or PhD or university, okay. You can't be, they don't care if you finished your masters if you finish your PhD because for like for sure you have one. So they will go with radio buttons here, okay. If it's multiple choice, go with checkboxes. Okay. So the one that we also need is tab control. So many students used tabs last time. Okay. So inside tabs, you know, like you have multiple things. We just remove those. Okay. So for example, some students decided to go with tabs when it comes to choosing like different numerical systems, those systems that we will study later. But for example, I'm pretty sure like every one of you saw tabs before. So each tab will be like a set of things. Okay. We usually like don't care about programming the tab, but tabs are also like they come with events. What happens if you clicked? What happens if you change the tab? Okay. But most of the time they are just like you can create new tabs like inside your program. Okay. If you want, like for example, like Firefox or Chrome, they allow you to create tabs. Okay. And Firefox and Chrome, those are also Windows applications. Okay. They are forms eventually. So you can go here and change it and have as many tabs as you want. Okay. So tabs are also something that could be very interested for us. Okay. And with tabs, you have all those properties, what is the appearance, what it looks like. Okay. There's also a nice thing called timer. So timers are very useful when it comes to doing something every second, for example. Okay. So when you take a timer, of course, the timer won't show up for the user. So it's not something that will sit here. The timer is just like something you have, will do its job, but like the user won't see a clock. Okay. Timers have very small set of properties, but the most important one is the interval. Like, like uh, the interval is the frequency of the job, like for example, if the interval is 1 second, then this timer will do its task or its job every second. And this one is many in milliseconds, so 1000 millisecond is 1 second. Okay, so the frequency of the time in millisecond. Okay, so for example, let's go to, let's double click on the timer that we took. Okay, timer, double click. The event that we care about in terms of the timer is that tick. So each tick, what do you want to do? Each 1 second or each 2 seconds, okay? Each interval, what do you want to do? Okay, so that's the task. For example, you can say text box result to text equals so what's going on here? So let me set the value of this text box to 0. Okay. And what did I say? I said each tick, each 1 second or each interval, I want you to add 1 to this text box. Okay, let's see how it goes. Is it working? Yeah, we need to like see it's enabled false. So we need to make the enabled true. Okay, let's start. And now you will see it counting. Okay, so if you want like a timer here, something that happens every few seconds. For example, suppose that every few seconds you want to check if the internet connection is still on. Okay, like you want to make sure that the user is not offline. Every few seconds you want to check the email inbox to make sure, for example, the user didn't receive any email yet. Okay, so anything that you want to do like in a set of time, like every few minutes, every few seconds, every few anything, timer is extremely useful when it comes to that. Okay, if you switch the interval like every 100 milliseconds, you will see that it's working faster now. Okay, so anything that happens in a frequency of time, timer will be extremely useful. Okay. Okay. Now, when it comes to our project, what we need for now, okay, what I need you to start working on, and hopefully you will be done by, or in the middle of the way by tomorrow. Okay. So what we want to do is the following. Okay, we need to start creating a button for each number. Okay, from 0 to 9. And we want, for example, to select few numbers, 5, 4, 1. Okay, we also need 4 buttons for the operations, 4 operations, and a button for what? For the result. Okay, so what we want to do here, like you know how to create the buttons, you know how to change the value in the text box. Okay, but be careful to treat this value as a number, not as a text. Okay, not as a string. So when I click plus, okay, now notice after the plus, okay, Notice now, if I choose any number, the previous one will disappear. Now, you don't need to create this one. Okay, this one is not important. This small grade one. Okay, this is a bit hard, but if you want, you can have it. That's fine. Okay, but notice that after I selected the operation, okay, so there is some code in here. Now, when I select a number, the previous number will disappear. Now, when I click equals, okay, the current number will disappear and I will have a new result. Okay, so again, for example, when you say 14, okay, when you say minus, okay, now it's still there. The second you write something now, you will see that the 14 now is no longer adding 6 to 14. Okay, it's not 146. Okay, 6 is a new number. Okay, so the challenge is first to have everything in the same text box. Notice that we don't have two text boxes. Okay, number one, number two, result, everything in the text box. When we worked, we had number one, number two, and result, three text boxes. The challenge is to make it all in one text box. Okay, that's the first challenge. The second challenge is to be able to do it properly. Okay, so first you can enter whatever you want. Then once you press an operation, okay, that's when your code is waiting for a new number. But of course, it didn't lose the first number, right? Otherwise, you can't make the operation. So the first number will be saved somewhere, okay, in some variable or whatever. Okay. So it's a bit of work, okay. The challenge to make it one text box, to make it look and function as a recalculator, needs some work, okay. So we will take the time in the middle of the week to do this project, okay. Now, another challenge, okay, the challenge number 2 is that I want you to search on the internet on how to make the user only enter numbers in this text box. So now I can use my keyboard, but you will notice when I click a letter, it won't accept this letter. It will only accept numbers. So that's something it's okay to search for. It's a bit hard to find, like to invent it yourself. Okay, it's fine to take just this piece as is. Now, there are many calculators on the internet, and I will be able to know if it's not your work. If you brought a calculator from the internet and put here, you will fail the easiest course we have. So it's not really worth it to fail the whole program because you cheated in such a simple project. It's challenging, it's fun, you are learning a new thing, so please don't cheat, okay? Okay, any question? Okay, so we have two requirements. First, to function as very simple calculator with only decimal numbers. Next step will be working with binaries, okay? Second challenge is to make the user only enter numbers in this text box. Okay. Now, when it comes to the colors, to the look and feel, to how it looks like, it's totally your choice. Okay.
That's the assignment for us today, for tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, that's what you need to start working on today. Well, there won't be grading until the end of the week, but like you don't want to accumulate tasks. Okay. So you need to start from now. Okay, so it needs some simple design, but it needs some careful coding when you are coding to make it look and feel like a real thing.
Okay, and I'm sorry, I might have missed it. So we are not using decimals here, just integers.
We are not using what?
Decimal points?
Oh no, yeah. For now, don't use decimal points. Keep it just integer. Okay. Yeah, when I'm saying decimal numbers, I mean like the system that we use, like from 1 to 10. That's called decimal.
What would the division do if I do integer division and then the result might require decimal point numbers?
Well, for now, show the integer part, but showing the decimal number is easy. But it would just require you to, like, when you are entering decimal number, that's could be a bit tricky. But to show the result, like text boxes, they can't show anything. So that's fine. Like you won't have a problem showing the result.
Okay, thanks.
Like you can tell the text box to show whatever you want. Okay, but like we will do decimal numbers at a later point, but that would be too much to ask for one day. Ajax in this program, like there's no Ajax in desktop applications. Okay, why do you need Ajax here? Like everything is happening locally right away. Like if you are talking about asynchronous programming, okay, in C#, that's something we will see maybe in the last 2 courses or so. Yeah. I mean in the whole program? Yeah, well, we will talk. Yeah, we will talk about asynchronous programming and task programming. Okay, but Ajax as like web, no, it's something that it's mostly front end, and it's like most students were able to do it. Okay, because like you can find right away on the internet how to do it. We will use the time to study threading, multi-threading, tasks, and asynchronous programming in C#. Okay. But when it comes to Ajax and programming it in web, that's something like you can find it yourself. Okay. It will be mostly JavaScript stuff.
Hi, what time is class starting tomorrow?
Tomorrow, what? Tomorrow, Wednesday? Yeah. Can I just see if I have a meeting or something?
Sure.
Yeah. Well, tomorrow we can start at 9.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Like, where did you have any meeting today or?
No, I just like to know in advance so I'm not just staring at the
Yeah.
screen.
Sorry, but like, because I know like our time should be from like 9 to 3 or 8:30 to 3, whatever. So like, I'm supposed meant everyone should be ready during this time. Okay. But sometimes you have those, pop-up meetings and surprise meetings. Tomorrow I don't. We can start at 9. It shouldn't take more than an hour, and then you can work on the calculator project. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other question?
Just to follow up on what you just told us, the school giving you like pop-up meetings during your class time?
Well, not pop up like right away, but like a day before. Sometimes something comes up with, like a student and internship problem, something like a meeting with some agency or something. Like a day or two in advance. No, not like during class. Hey, leave class and come.
Oh, okay. Back in my culture, that never happened. So I was really surprised. How could school
No,
do that to you or to the students? I'm like, oh, okay. All right.
No, not in the middle of class, but sometimes like 2 days in advance, one day. Sometimes like you have the meeting a month before, but like sometimes there are like urgent matters that need some attention. Okay, but not during class for sure. Okay, now our course is extremely lightweight now, this math one. Okay, so we have full control about our time, and we will use the class time. Now it feels a bit strange because it's remote work, but if we were in class, I will be in class the whole time with you, you will be working, so I will make sure that you are working. Now I really have no idea what you're doing. Okay, so it will look like a normal day. Every day it was going to look like a normal day. Some days you have new materials more than work, sometimes actual work more than new materials. But now it's it's pretty strange. Well, the time is always the same. Really. Like time is always like from 9 to 3. That's our time. Okay, or 8:45 to 3:15. Okay, so that's our time. So you should always be ready at this time. Now, sometimes we have courses that it's like more new materials. Sometimes courses more work, but this is your time. Okay, like I will never tell you to come at 5 p.m. for example, or 7 a.m. That's for sure. Like you can work at those times. Okay, but like why I'm telling you this? Like if we were in class, we wouldn't be having this answer every day. Everyone will show up, okay, between 8:45 and 9 every day, and will keep there staying there the whole day. Okay, so you wouldn't have this problem. Now it feels like, hey, my day is starting at 10 or my day is stopping at 11. Okay, it's because we have this remote situation. Otherwise, before, like we always had a full day and everyone was working the whole day. Okay, whether it's new lecturing, whether it's just lab work, and even labs now. Honestly, we feel a bit disappointed that some of you are not attending labs for some reason. This wasn't an issue a few months ago because everyone will be sitting physically in the lab and Zach will be going around helping. Okay, but now we are home. Like can't really like force people from home. You are adults. Like I know I don't feel it right to force people to attend. Honestly, it feels strange. Like if you don't want, then you will just stay open YouTube and waste your time the whole time, and I can't see what you're doing. Okay, so if you are not interested, then okay, okay. So I will try to tell you every day in advance. Tomorrow it's at 9. Okay, like between 8:45 and 9 until everyone is online and we can go from there. And we will only have 1 hour of new lecturing. Then we will take more requirements to the calculator project, which you are supposed to work during the class time. Okay. Now, if you are delaying everything to the night time, I can't do anything about it, but eventually we will see the results. Okay. So sorry if the whole remote thing is causing confusion, but our time is always the same. It never changes.
I only ask because when you log in to like go to Zoom, I just stare at this screen sometimes for like an hour, right? So if I know that you're coming at 10, it's just nice to know in advance.
Staring for an hour, like every time I will be after an hour, I'm sending a message. So
Sure.
like so like maybe it happened one time when my internet was down and the message didn't go through. But like I really don't try to leave you an hour waiting every day. So every day check Slack in the morning, okay? Especially if you are waiting for a long time. But it shouldn't be something that happened. How many times it happened?
Well, we've never started at 8:45.
Yeah, well, that's what I did in class too. So in class, we always waited between 8:45 to 9. But like you will have something to do. Like if it's 5-10 minutes, yeah, that's fine. But like for an hour, yeah, that would be a lot of time. Yeah, the thing is, what happened when I was starting at 8:45 every day, you will always have um, someone or like 2 or 3 students late, and most of the time the first 15 minutes are the most important of the whole class. So if you miss the first 15 minutes, um, like you will spend the whole day with no idea of what's going on here. So I then like we reached an agreement. Okay, we will wait for everyone to gather until 9, and we can go from there. Because our like we have 6 hours. We can't learn new things for 6 hours for sure. Okay, like there's always a limit to what you can learn. So it's an hour and a half, 2 hours. You can never learn more than 2 hours of new materials, and most of our day will be like actual work. Okay, so if we delayed like few minutes and we took them at the end of the day or whatever, it's not a big deal. Okay, but for now, like always check Slack in the morning. Okay, this course is pretty lightweight, so you shouldn't have a big problem with it. And every time I'll be like in a meeting in the morning, I will let you know. Okay, so you won't wait for a long time. Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's nice to study more, but like the problem when we study something, it becomes required. Like, and there's always like it's always the same thing. Like you have students who want to study more, learn more. You have ones who can't take any more, and we want to try to make some balance in between. Like I can't go with the speed of the like top student and go from there. Everyone is lagging behind. It's really a bit hard to keep this balance between the very good, the average, okay, and maybe the bad. Okay, so so you need something that suits everyone. Okay, when it comes to the math course, there were no material actually. Like there were only few math things that you will never use in your life. So we decided to go with learning something new like desktop applications. Okay, but you have the internet. Like the whole idea of this program is to put you in the first step or in the correct path to go from there. Okay, like there's no limit to what you can learn. Okay, but we are trying to learn so many different things, so we can see so many different paths that you can go from, like a bit of databases, a bit of um, design patterns, a bit of MVC, some C sharp, so you can explore so many things. If you went deep with one thing, that will be all what we know.
Hey,
Hey,
Mohammed, I would like to request you something.
sure.
Mm, can you do an introduction of Unity?
Yeah, I'll be very happy to do so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because I would like to see. I never saw the uh, how to build games. I
yeah.
have experience a lot of fields in programming, but I never see how it's work Unity
Okay.
or any
Yeah.
of
So we
framework.
can have one day for that if you guys want.
Yeah,
It could be like a holiday, or if everyone would like to join, we can have it at some day. Like it could be like some Friday maybe, when you know the end of the week. But yeah, like I'll be like I did something similar, but for few students last group. Like not everyone was interested, so I
okay,
said if you don't like to be here, that's fine. So we explored Unity. We saw how it works. We saw how you can start. Okay, one day wasn't enough, but it was a good start. Yeah. Well,
that will be excellent if
yeah.
we can
We yeah. Just keep this
review
in
this
mind,
tool.
and like I will try to remember it, but just keep it in mind so we can do it after the break. Okay.
Excellent,
Yeah.
excellent.
But if you want to start, you can start right now. Like Unity, they just made their something called Unity Learn. They just made it free, and it's available for everyone.
Okay,
So yeah, well, our session will help so much to teach you where to go, but you can start right away if you want to. Like you have 2 weeks now. I'm not sure what you are doing. Like you're always busy, I know, but like if you want something to do in those 2 weeks, we can reach out to each other, and like you can start in those 2 weeks if you are free to do so.
Okay.
Okay, but you guys, like, now you know C sharp, and Unity 3D uses C sharp. It's a very huge opportunity for you. Okay, like it's like you learned half of Unity now. Okay, like you know how to think, how to write code. Okay, this is like the hard part. Okay, now Unity 3D is just like some physics, some like a different way of thinking because it's game programming, but you are already halfway through. And if you are making games, you can make games for yourself. You can make games for a company. It's a very huge industry, and you know, like it's multi-billion industry. It's very huge.
But maybe I don't know if it's possible. We can take that like in this week, half hour per day at the end of Windows
Um,
4 class.
yeah,
I
this
don't know
week.
if it's possible because
Yeah,
if
the problem is like we need to make it one day, like half an hour every day. It would be a bit hard because like
okay,
what
I
are you
got it.
going to do in half an hour?
Well, it's not a lot.
Let's see. I will try to do something like maybe a very quick start this Friday, because Friday is
Excellent.
our last day. Okay, so we can have
Okay.
like 2 hours on this Friday. Explore the Unity, explore the asset store. They have a store where you can have thousands of free things, free codes, free models. Like for me, the hardest part was to create the 3D stuff. Like I know how to code, but I don't know how to like create a house or design a house
Yeah,
or
that is my problem. I don't know nothing about design or even when I try to make a draft a circle, I draw
yeah.
a square
So yeah, so with the
because I
asset
don't know.
store, you will never need that. And
Okay, I
like,
got it.
since I already worked, I spent thousands of the asset store because uh, I need it in my work. But they have like thousands of assets for free, like 3D. They even have like particles, you know, like the fire and stuff. And
Okay,
this is for me, it's very hard to make. Like I don't know any art or 3D Max or Photoshop or anything.
okay,
So we can explore this, and you can start right away. Like it's
okay, excellent.
like
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you just need like simple push, and then you can start swimming by yourself.
Do you have any experience with mobile Xamarin? With Xamarin too?
No, not with Xamarin. I worked for a long time with Android when it was Java. Then they invented a
Okay.
new language, I guess. But I was working native programming, native Android. Then when I saw Unity, now you can, for example, when you program in Unity, you can program apps in Unity, not only games. So when you finish your game in Unity, you can make it an Android application, you can make it iOS, the same code without changing the code. You can
Okay,
make
yeah,
it
I got
web
it.
or desktop, or you can make it for PlayStation. So lots of companies now they are using Unity to create apps, okay? And it's one code that will be distributed everywhere. So for me, that was enough, and that's why I didn't learn Xamarin.
Okay, I got it.
Okay, but like my advice is not to learn so many technologies. Like you don't want to be the master of none. Like see different ways, but eventually you need to specialize yourself in something. So like most
Yeah, that's
people
right.
are either very specialized in mobile or maybe specialized very specialized in web or desktop. So don't try to like be in everything. Like eventually there are stuff that you will never learn, and you will never
That's
have the time to explore.
What's the best paying language to learn?
Well, it really
okay.
depends on what you want. So if you want to find work, I would say web is the like most required thing, and especially what they call full stack engineering. Like now everyone wants full stack. Companies are getting very cheap. They want someone who can do front end and back end, and that's why our program is like both. So they want everyone like someone who knows everything, okay, from beginning to end, with databases, with cloud experience. So I'd say full stack engineer, which is front end and back end, is the most common thing if you want to find work. But if you like games, for example, then I'd say make games. Like this is what you want to make. Okay, there is work, but it's harder to find, especially in Winnipeg. Like we don't have lots of gaming studios in Winnipeg. I don't know if we have any actually. There's Ubisoft, but they don't make games here. Okay, so Ubisoft here, they make tools. Okay, they make their games in Montreal, I guess, or somewhere else. Okay, so it really depends on where do you live, what is the market. Like here, many people, for example, they like Microsoft technology. In another country, like almost no one is using Microsoft technology. So it really depends on where you want to live and what is the market around you.
For example, in my country, we use all kind of technology. Linux, Unix, Windows, and all of the language for each platform, like Java, C Sharp.
Yeah, but
Our
I've been in some places where they hate Microsoft because everything is paid and closed source.
we
So
use
they go with
everything.
open source, with PHP, with Python, for example. So, for example, if you are interested in the high end stuff like AI, like machine learning, like big data, you may want to go Python, for example. Python is like the
the the most one.
yeah, most used language when it comes to AI stuff, especially
I
machine
mean, the
learning.
second one is Java. I think so.
Yeah, well, Java is actually enterprise. So a very huge, if you have a very huge system, you wouldn't use Python most of the time. You would use Java.
Yeah.
Java, I guess, is still like one of the best and one of the top used, even after all of those years. But it really depends on what do you want. Are you just learning? Do you want to work? Do you want to maybe create your own company? Okay, so it really very
But
different ways.
my advice is focus on one technology, but learn another one. I mean, focus on one. Go deep of one technology. In this case, for example, C Sharp, but
Mhm.
try to learn another one because the industry changed a lot. In my
Right.
case, I had to learn a lot of kind of technology because for my career because I am system auditor, so I need to review a lot of kind of programs or database and infrastructure. But that's why I need to learn a little bit of each kind of program language or platform.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
if you are programmer, you need to focus on one program language and
Yeah.
even in one field of this program language.
Yeah, of course, you need to master something, but
Yeah,
it's not like it's not bad to like know, like for example, I know the like the top stuff about, for example, Ruby on Rails or Python, but I don't know them actually, but
yeah,
I know what they are used for, maybe where I should learn them if I want to go this way, or so like the
the basic
things
stuff.
from above, but you didn't learn them in detail. You need to be like a master in something where where people they can count on you. And I say full stack engineer now is the most common thing to be asked. So full stack engineer is something, if you are really full stack engineer, uh, you will find a job way easier than someone who is just back end or just front end, for example. So you don't have to go to another path, but you really need to review everything you guys learned in front end. Okay, so now we are learning MVC, but slowly you are using what you learned before, and there's no reason to lose anything. Like the internet is there, the open source projects are there, you can work on your own. Okay, it's mostly an effort that you need to make. Okay, I keep going forward, I keep like mentioning new things, learning new stuff with you, but you have the responsibility to make everything work together if you want to be a full stack engineer. Okay.
Mm.
Now, maybe you said, maybe you think hey, I just like databases. I like databases very much. So maybe you want to go have some certifications in databases, become a database engineer or a database administrator. That's very nice too. But those are harder to find since like they don't like juniors very much. They like experienced people. Okay. When something is very specialized, they like people with experience or at least with lots of certificates from the industry. So for example, suppose you want to learn to work in machine learning. Okay. Machine learning is a very nice, cool thing where you teach the machine to think, okay, and to take decisions instead of if else, okay. But it's very hard to find a job in machine learning because most of the time they want people PhD, people with at least masters and like few years experience, okay. It's because it's a very serious thing and you need to be like very good in math and statistics, for example. But there are certificates, there are those um, certificates about machine learning itself. So if you went and took certificates in this field, it will be much easier for you to go to a real job, and they will know that hey, this guy doesn't have experience, but he or she they have like a certificate from this respected vendor. Okay, and those are not universities; it's just like a company that gives you a certificate in something. So now you can get certified in C Sharp, for example. Like Microsoft itself, they have C Sharp certifications. It's like a very added value to add it to your resume. Okay, you can have those cloud certifications. You can have those AWS, for example. Like AWS is something that almost every job posting is saying, hey, it will be nice if you have AWS experience. So there's always like there's no limit to what you can learn by yourself. Okay, like now those few hours that we spend, it's just like just scratching the surface, honestly. Okay, so please don't count on the program. Like we have a curriculum which we are following. We are like on the right track in our curriculum. Like we didn't miss any piece in it, but it's eventually it's a limited thing. Okay, we can't jam all the knowledge in one year. Okay, it's your responsibility if you want to learn more. Okay, so
So,
don't stop.
so what language would you suggest, like I take on the side or something?
Language you mean for what exactly? For
Program.
work, like for
Yeah, like PHP or
uh
Java. Or,
well, honestly, like all of them are very common. But from what I can see around, like I would say PHP and ASP.MVC, the one that we are learning, is the most common in Winnipeg here
okay.
and in many parts in Canada. So we will have a day, like we call it work simulation day in our program, where you will work with PHP for the first time and you have zero experience about it. So we will have a full day where you need to work with MySQL and PHP. You will see how it looks like, how it feels. And like half of our students ended up working with PHP without issues. Like if you are good in this, you will be good in PHP. It's just different syntax. Okay, like this is how they define an array, this is how they define a variable. Okay, this is how, and that's all the difference. While in like in in the concept, in the way of thinking, in database, in everything, it's all the same story. Okay, like you will take like 2 3 weeks to learn, but then it like it will feel that PHP is all what you did your entire life. So like don't worry about the language itself. um, Worry about the concepts. Okay, about like database concept, writing good code, writing clean code, logical thinking, problem solving. Okay, being able, like now I give everyone problem to solve in the calculator. Okay, now
or
it
even
doesn't
the
matter if you are
paradigm,
making this calculator in C sharp or PHP. Okay.
or even the paradigm. I don't know how to say that in English. I mean, in software you have different way to structure the logic. You
Mhm.
can use procedures programming, object oriented programming,
Yeah, well,
or
we are using the OB one.
yeah,
Yeah.
but in this case, for example, for MVC,
Mhm.
the way that it works the function is a procedures a structure programming, because you have a get, you have a get as a get
The method, you mean?
method. So when the view part consume this method, this they consume this method as as a structure language,
Mhm.
not as object. So I don't know if I can you can figure out what I try to say.
Yeah, yeah, I got your point. Like the way of doing things. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, even this is like another step. Like the step before is like how to be able to solve a problem. This is all what they want you to do in a company. Okay, how to solve a problem. Like, hey, you have this problem with this language. Language is just a syntax. Okay, like C sharp is very similar to Java, and somehow similar to PHP. Okay, it doesn't matter what is the language. It matters like, can you search for solutions? Can you apply the solution? Can you, like, are you going to surrender or give up in the middle and, hey, asking for help for every single task? Okay, that's what they care about. Now, for example, if you are going to work for Google, they don't ask a language from you. They say, come to the interview and use any language you want. They don't care what is the language that you worked with before. They know in a month or two you will learn the language they use in that team. But all what they care, hey, can you think? Can you can you solve problems for us? Okay, what is the language you are using is not the biggest deal. That's why our most important course was the first one, and I wish we can extend it to like few months, but like we eventually we need to learn an actual thing. Okay, but if it was for me, I would have just like went to like half the program would be the first course, thinking, searching for solutions, working around and stuff like that. Because and that's what you will be doing. And search for any big company, they don't ask for a single language. They ask for like a concept. Okay, so that was a lot of talk. And sorry again if I am making you wait or something, or if it's not clear, but I'm always under the assumption that from 9 to 3, this is our time. Okay. And I know John trained you very well on like coming on time. You can't be late for 1 minute. This was intentional. Now, when you come to my part, that's when we are in the somehow the cool part. Okay. So, like any company now you go to, any company, they won't care about 5 minutes or 10 minutes late. They don't really care unless there's a meeting, of course, you are late too. But they always treat programmers as people who know what they are doing. Like, hey, this is a programmer. They always stay late. They stay after 6 because a programmer can't just like, hey, it's 6, throw the keyboard and run to the door. Okay, programmers always stay maybe an hour more just to finish the work, that because they are very focused. They maybe they don't even realize the time. Okay, so they like I saw some people, lots of people working in the kitchen or in the balcony or something. Okay, and you will never hear someone complaining about you because you are delivering, you are doing your task. Okay, so this is the mentality I try to follow here. And when we were in class, like we always like go work in the cafeteria, do whatever you want, go work outside. Okay, eventually it's work, and as long as you are delivering results, that's all what we want. Okay, hopefully, like I've heard that we may be able to return for like a day or two a week to the class. First, I really like to get to know you more, and maybe we can use those classes to have like more of real life experience with each other and